against the fabrication in that, if you remember, the high-profile ambulance procurement case that involved the current finance minister, Dr. Ato Forson. And in his petition, dated the 23rd of September 2025, which was addressed to the CID Director General, Mr. Japa claims that Mr. of controversies. And for that reason, he called that a prosecutorial misconduct. Then we look at our Galamsey, that albatross around our neck, the never-ending Galamsey discussion. Well, it's taking a dramatic turn this week with fresh allegations against the EP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, Mchibosi Yaku, popularly known as Wuntumi. And he's been accused of alleged illegal mining activities. Now, this development raises a lot of questions about the government, particularly given that the former president said during his time that Akunta Mining was not involved in illegal mining, and so cleared him. Also, the trade union within the week called on the president to declare a state of emergency, mainly because of the environmental crisis that the Galamsey is presenting to us. Exercise. Will the government take decisive actions, or will this crisis continue to test its resolve? And then in the educational sector, the famous GTEC, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, recently moved to withdraw accreditation for 2 postgraduate programs at the University of Cape Coast. And this has sparked a lot of debate. Is GTEC protecting academic integrity in customs administration programs? Has raised a lot of questions about the balance between regulatory oversight and academic autonomy. These are the issues that this morning we'll be discussing. As always indicated, this program is proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa Ghana Limited. Bank of Africa understands that we all need a quick fix in our lives, financial support or assistance to solve that problem. It may be a car where you need to replace an engine, or it may be the wife who is at the hospital giving birth and needs to go home, or it might be that money that you need to pay that fees to be able to complete and graduate. Bank of Africa says that the quick fix loan is your solution. Visit any of Bank of Africa branches, or you can go to their website www.boaghana.com and engage Fafa. Remember that terms and conditions apply. Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner. Current Agenda is live on GTV, GBC News, and also live on Radio Ghana. You can also join us on WhatsApp 053 110 1315. We'll be right back after this break.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loan. Take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
MedShay, natural mosquito repellent, highly recommended by Ministry of Health, CHAS, and GES. Lab tested by Noguchi Medical, Field trialed by Atomic Energy Commission. It has no chemical or side effects and is good for all ages and skin type. MedShea is available nationwide. Contact us on 0244892413. This advert is approved by FDA.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second Kwame. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family like this again? Now I understand the whole delay. Chow from Kaswa. Why won't he be late? Or being late, of course.
So would the coming of the Son of Man be? Is that his car?
Dial star 712 hash. Choose your ticket. Enter your lucky number. Follow the prompts and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
My daughter has many dreams, and I wanted to live to see them all. Cervical cancer can take them away, but it doesn't have to be the case. From 7th to 11th October 2025, the safe and free HPV vaccine will be available to all girls aged 9 to 14. Join parents nationwide to protect our girls from cervical cancer. One small step today can protect her for a lifetime.
This message is brought to you by the Ghana Health Service and partners.
Brought to you by Bank of Africa, the African bank with global reach. Bank of Africa, as strong as a group, as close as a partner.
Welcome back from the break. This is Current Agenda, your most authoritative news analysis program, your Saturday morning companion. Well, before I introduce to do a bit of a reflection on a troubling issue that touches me at my core. I'm from Takwa in Swayim. I'm a Westerner. Unfortunately, I can't speak my language, so I stick to Fanti. One of our pride growing up was the Bonsa tie factory. And recently to see always boasting about, I stood in complete, I'm lost for words. I was lost for words, actually. I was wondering whether this was what my parents, my grandparents were always boasting about. This right in front of me was a factory, or is a factory that can turn fortunes around for people in that area. Hitherto, I understand that this company was producing or was partnering with companies like Firestone to produce car tires, were working on some other leather or rubber shoes and boots and all those things. And for decades, as much as possible to do some investments to get nowhere. And look at it. Viewers, you can see on my screen, this is a company left to rot. We talk about jobs, talk about the young people not having jobs, talk about the youth not having jobs. We complain every now and then that the country is the government has heavy on its expenses, payroll, that salary on government who is forward looking and forward thinking to have the right partnership, right in the center. This can reach across Africa. Car tires, rubber shoes, Wellington boots. What is it that cannot be done? But look how it's become. We've invested, we've bought partners, we come on board. Factory machines are brought in there, they are left. That is it that the brain of the African, of the Ghanaian is a bit different? Is there something I might have to look for people who do psychology to do a research into to see whether there is a difference in brain or it's just our ideology and our psyche and our thinking orientation. How we can let a factory like this go to rot? How? We cannot boast of factories in this country that are over 100 years. We can't of it. What is it in or what is in it for me? That's basically it. Bonsa Tie Factory, 1963 to 2025. See, it's disheartening, and the place is abandoned, full of weeds, full of reptiles. There's stagnant water. What is the challenge? I mean, can the Ghanaian not take up this and dictate across the African landscape and say that when it comes to tire manufacturing, this is us? This is very disturbing. Ever since Firestone's, that global brand, I understand, left somewhere in the 1980s, and it was mainly because of operational difficulties, tax cuts, giving certain tax breaks, and giving certain opportunities. And you're like, what do these people actually even bring to the economy? What do they bring? But this is a company that can actually bring jobs, bring revenue. If they are exporting their tithes, they are bringing forex in there. We do not have to worry about forex now, because now forex will be coming in, inflows will be coming in, and this whole exchange rate issues, one way or the other, can be managed. And we are looking on. Are we saying that nothing good can come out of this? That the whole plant has remained defunct since the 1980s? 45 years. It's remained defunct. Somewhere along the line, I remember GEPA tried to improve upon it under the NED program, the National Export. Do you know how much revenue this can bring. Do you know how much people can be employed? Talk about a 24-hour economy. Having this style run 3 shifts or 4 shifts. 420,000 tires a year. If even a tire is worth 100 cedis, which we all know it's not. But let's just play with numbers. That's 422 billion. Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why? And if the younger generation see this and think that there is no hope in Ghana and they want to leave, we are concerned and worried that they are not patriotic enough, they don't love their country. This is what we are showing them. This is what we've told. We are telling them that patriotism is about. This is our reflection of patriotism to them. Vast land. I remember, I understand that in somewhere in 2012, it came back slightly up again, and were able to begin about, I think, 18,000 tons in production in 2012. In 2017, they went to somewhere around 40,000 tons. Some bit of the business came up, but because of issues surrounding raw material, it went back. It's ongoing. It's sad. And the person who took me around was speaking, and you could see how disappointed they are, even as people that live in the area. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Thai factory again. I mean, it can be any other thing. And there are other companies, and in substance, I would want you at home to think through this. If you see things like this, would you say this country is worth dying for? Would this give investor confidence for them to even come here to invest? Knowing that beyond their generation, beyond a certain time, their investment might be left to rot. Ghana, our leaders do not care about us. Guess what? They are the pebbles drawn from a bag. They are not drawn from anywhere. So if the way they are reflects who we are. Our leaders are not drawn from another country. They are drawn from Ghana. So in that basket or in that sack that has Ghanaians in there, if you draw one out and that person is bad, draw another one and it's bad, draw a third one is bad, the probability that of the pebbles in the sack are bad. This is very disturbing. And I've taken it upon myself after seeing this that every week I'll visit one of such sites and I'll come and speak to it. This is the national television. And we cannot continue to sit and watch and show you. So that when you sit at home and you're chastising and telling GBC, GTV that why can't you do this, why can't you do this? Because you drive across or along the face of the company and you see buildings. One day, I'll walk you through and you would see and you judge for yourself. Then, hope is not lost. We can bring it back. We're in an era of reset. So start resetting your mentality. resetting your thinking. This is my reflection this morning, and I hope I've given you something to think about, something to ponder about this weekend. Well, if I continue, I'll get sentimental. Our two lawyers Nibapu Senior, I hope you are doing well. I'm sure one time I'll look at Cuckoo Board. And then I would also do some reflections on that one. I'm praying that day that I'll do that, you will hear. And chairman, right? Yes. Of the current government NDC, and he is a legal brain also. Then next to him is my brother, Ufai. Hey, Kwame. Bro, how are you? Kwame joined very early. We got talking within the weekend. Kwame, welcome. Thank you. He's a political strategist. And so today, he's also a lawyer. So this morning we'll be talking law, we'll be talking politics. We'll be looking to delve into issues importance and national interest. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Right. I'm sure you paid attention to my bonds. I noticed that, Kwame, you were taking making a lot of notes. Maybe I'll just start with you. Just
Ghanaians who are watching us, I'm particularly elated to be here this morning to contribute my, small cent to national discussion. Like I indicated, I'm very, devastated by the state of Bonsa Tyre Factory, but I'm not surprised because we are all aware that more often than not, a lot of the about could employ a lot of the young people who are, for instance, into Galamsey. We are talking about Galamsey. We are talking about all of these devastation that we are seeing on our lands and our water bodies. But we forget that there's a correlation between employment, or rather unemployment, and the devastation of our forest reserve. True. So clearly we must go back to the drawing table. I don't know whether the blueprint have always been an underlying reasons for the collapse of a lot of the companies. You're looking at economic factors, you're looking at political factors, and then you're also looking at operational issues. In Ghana, one of the banes that we've experienced, that when you put a Ghanaian to manage, that's what people say, that when you ask a Ghanaian to manage a factory, expect that the Ghanaian will run the company. You recall Valco, I don't know if you followed Valco, that the person who was asked to manage it ran it down and then later wanted to buy it. That is what we do. We run it down and then we find a way of partnering other people so that we can have a stake in there. So we don't think about
the collective interest. As a nation, we think about individual parochial interest. Any positive results for us. Also, this issue about this government started this. So when I get the opportunity, I won't come and continue. This what has accounted for most of the things. I'm particularly surprised that during the NPP's administration, because one of the things that they really highlighted was the one district, one factory. You know, albeit that the person who superintended over that policy was Alhaji Kojo Kyerematen, and I believe that he had started the Bonsa Tyre factory. Because as a nation, we are looking at revenue losses of about $1.4 billion. Employment opportunities for about, thousands and thousands of Ghanaians. So we must begin to look inwardly, see where we can generate funds from so that we can support some of these benefits, so that the politicians, Nick Papo and his friends, will not be called upon to be paying school fees and all of that, because people will be gainfully employed and they can take care of themselves and their family members.
I mean, if you pick a company like the Ghana Rubber Estates Limited,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
They can produce raw materials
for export.
Yes.
Yeah, for export.
And even for Bonsa, because they produce rubber.
No, because you see, at the time, the Bonsa project started, I think, you rightly indicated in 1963.
Yes.
So the idea was to develop factories and look at, how we can industrialize. So homegrown policies and things like, of course, with some foreign partners. But that was the whole concept. That you had some rubber plantation scattered across. And so raw materials were easily and readily available, would have been exported, So that was the whole concept. But then again, you would notice that because of lack of leadership, true leadership, after the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and the deliberateness on the part of some political elites at the time, just to water down the impact that Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah made on the good people of Ghana and across the world, they decided to neglect a lot of these factories. You know, at times there was a ceramic factory. Yeah. All of these things were deliberately, built by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to ensure that there's proper industrialization, which is why, if you recall, events leading to Akufo-Addo's coming into power, I think he made mention of the fact that we're going to move away from the Johannesburg economy to a more... So essentially, we're looking at industrialization. You get the point? Because the way to go is to industrialize. If you don't have factories to produce the very basic things that you import, you would notice that your currency will not even be strong.
Yes.
Because then you will have to always change, money, go and import sugar, go and import toothpick, go and import toothbrush. I want to say that we must be very intentional about how we govern this country going forward. Particularly also, if you recall, the NDC administration, I think one of the, if you like, the policies that they heralded, during the campaign was the 24-hour economy.
Right.
And I think that the 24-hour economy, expecting to see it unfold for the benefit of all of us. And so if really and truly we want to bring about a 24-hour economy, ostensibly to ensure that there's industrialization, there's production, there are jobs, and all of that, then we must begin to resuscitate some of these demised, factories. And then it is a collective, effort that we must all make to ensure that in the final analysis, all of us get to benefit from.
Thank you. Thank you. Nee?
Yeah, my brother.
I'm sure you paid attention.
I must admit that the sleep is still active because they will do justice to us with the coffee too, to keep the mind away.
Yes.
The lawyer and his pot of coffee is set.
Yeah, we've missed you too.
I missed the set. It's just the 7 o'clock is always there. It's always the battle. After Friday, hard Friday. West if you had a late night.
Yes.
It's a battle.
If your Friday ends at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., then
it's a battle. Anyway, so with the bond, probably every government under the Fourth Republic has tried to go back to what I call the original blueprint of development for Ghana, which was by the Osajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. May his soul rest in peace. I think that President, the issue of self-reliance, you understand? If you look at the vision of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the whole idea was to make Ghana self-sufficient in every way possible, from energy with the nuclear, so you understand, to food sufficiency, to an export-driven economy, And I think he studied every theory of development there was, Marxism, and everything. And he came to the realization that we needed something African. You understand? Because you can't copy blindly. It's for that particular of oil development. And I keep saying that they have a system that, because, for example, their population sizes are not the same, but we can learn from best practices. You understand? And I think that if you look at what President Mahama is seeking to do with a 24-hour economy, our development agenda for Ghana. But the underlying issue, which every government keeps talking about, is that Ghana's economy has a structural problem. You understand? And that we need to shift from an import-driven economy to an export-driven economy. And that can only happen with the establishment of the factories and all that. But when it comes to an economy, running an economy, and currently our biggest challenge is youth unemployment.
Yes.
It's a national security issue. You understand? And so, if you look at the 24-hour agenda that President Mahama has set, tackling the issue of youth unemployment is at the heart of that. And of course, it goes with creating the enabling environment for economy as it is within 4 years.
Not possible.
Even with the problems that we met, I think that Uncle Atu is doing a human's job even to maintain fiscal discipline. And when you are reining in fiscal, it means that expenditure must be well managed. And for you to have a lot of development, you must spend. You understand? Because we are not imposing new taxes. You understand? We are not going for new loans. We are maintaining fiscal discipline, which means we are not going over our expenditure targets. We are even trying to cut down. All the state agencies are saddled with debt. So it is a very, very difficult moment for maintaining the fiscal discipline, the gold board interventions and all. I think that the 4 years probably is going to lay a foundation. You understand? And I'm praying that as the 24-hour economy is legislated okay, we get the buy-in of everybody. You see, Ghana's biggest problem is not having a development.
We achieved that.
That's one of the things that I have been praying, that maybe because we have the 2/3 in Parliament, we should be able to get the 24-hour economy policy and get the buy-in of the opposition. And thankfully, the push of President Mahama is that he's not going to ride over or ride roughshod over the opposition.
Okay.
But he's going to get them to participate. Because you see, the economy. One, we are going 24, and it's a gradual thing. You see that the ports are running 24 hours. So income generation from those areas are critical. DVLA is going 24 hours. You understand? Slowly, the other sectors of the economy are going to be tackled. We have a few security hotspots that the more employees into the security services. It means that we can then provide the security apparatus that can support the 24-hour economy. So I hope that once the policy gets to Parliament, we get the buy-in of the opposition, it becomes, for the first time, the foundation that has the buy-in of everybody. And we didn't allow them. And remember that there's infrastructure development in the 24. So you are seeing the big push agenda. So that is the foundation that I think that President Mahama is laying as a legacy. Whoever comes after him to continue, if we all agree that development as a plan must have the national buy-in, then what will happen is that whatever it to have one vision that acts as a continuum, because President Kwame Nkrumah was able to do a lot of these things because of the original 7-year plan that he had, which literally covered every aspect of the economy. So I think we should all, as I said, support the president in moving the 24-hour economy forward. At the same time, I'm trying to tackle some of these legacies to get these bonus time. Because look, the import substitution that we will benefit from in terms of not having to carry our hard-earned currency. You understand? Yes. And now we are having currency stability, which means that we will not have to carry our hard-earned currency to go and buy rubber. Some of the things we buy, even water, toothpick, you know, and all. We need to have a structural change in our economy.
But I mean, you being there to have maybe a bigger body sitting somewhere where power is bestowed on them or is invested in them for them to be the ones to develop a plan for the country. Where political parties, you can campaign on the plan. All you're campaigning on is how to get to the plan, but not change the plan.
Even the budget. We should be able to have, as a country, we should be able to have, if you understand, a 4-year budget or a 3-year budget, you know, that has the budget. See, it is possible, but in terms of development, the NDC and NPP, do we really have such a fundamental difference in terms of outlook when it comes to the economy? No, not really. It's just about our political ideologies. You know, one says that they are property owning democracy, the other believes we do not have such a fundamental difference between the two parties. All of us say we want the development of this country. Let us legislate. The problem we lack is discipline. That's why we always bring in the IMF and all those other bodies to go and keep us in check. So we come out of one IMF program and then we jump into another IMF program because we always need a big brother to keep us in check. If we are able to tell ourselves that, look, this is our case, we are supposed to keep our debt to GDP ratio at this level. We will not overrun our budget deficit by this percentage. We will ensure that we cut our ministers, so nobody can come to government and have more than 30 ministers. You know? Other countries have even lesser numbers. You understand? So some of our problems are literally our inability to stay disciplined. You understand? Because we are pursuing multiple developmental projects when we haven't budgeted for sale. So we tell ourselves that if in this year, this is the budget for the year, we will stick to that. You understand? If we tell ourselves that, look, I think that if it's not in our generation, we can do something that will fundamentally change the way Ghana's economy is within the next 10 to 20 years. You know, so I think that there's every opportunity. Constitution, as it is, we have looked at it more legally.
Yes.
You understand? We have not seen our constitution as a developmental constitution.
I agree with you.
You understand? We have aspirations, but maybe we need to inject some more practical measures. And I hope that that's why the NDP is a very good concept. But I want and I hope that we can have a national developmental plan that will have. The only way you can amend it is by 2/3 vote in parliament. No government can come and amend it. No president can come and amend it and say that we are not going to mine in forest areas. That is part of our policy. No mining in forest areas. Okay? We are going to maybe nationalize small-scale mining, for example. We are going to do this. Everyone will get a buy-in. Parliament will vote on it. It becomes a law. It can only be amended by a 2/3 vote. That is the way I think we should go.
Thank you.
What is the kind of political architecture we have in this country? What is it? We simply run a manifesto governance. So it is competing manifestos. Which manifesto this year is better? People will look at the promises that people make without necessarily interrogating those promises. Me makes a point about budgeting.
Must find
expression in the budget.
Yes.
So if you are not in power and you don't understand the kind of financial situation in which the country is, you should not be allowed to make certain promises. Unfortunately, majority of us make a determination on the basis of the promises that people make. So President Mahama says, I am going to give you 24 hours economy. We don't understand it. The nation will alleviate poverty and will address the issue of unemployment. That's number one. Number two, all these things that Lee is talking about, very brilliant, suggestions, particularly matters relative to having a national development plan and all of that. But those things must not be discussed in isolation. The point is that, do we have the political will to draft and design that? You recall that during, I think, Professor Mills's time into President Mahama's time, we had a 7-year development plan that was being worked on. You recall?
Yes.
What has become of it? When President Akufo-Addo came, he was presented with that, developmental plan, and he shelved it. President Mahama is in power, but because times have changed, I am very convinced that he's not going to go back. If we truly want to develop as a nation, if we want to better better the lives of the average Ghanaian. We must, in very important instances, put away our political differences, come together and forge a plan that works for the benefit of all of us. Because at the end of the day, beneficiaries of same. It's all of us.
Yes. So,
finally, the reason why I am particularly very emotional about this matter is because this is an issue that cuts across the board. It is not only in Bonsa. I had the opportunity of campaigning across the country because I was running it to Alan Shemati. So I had the opportunity what the people are going through. In most of the communities, all they need is KVIP. In most of the communities, all they need is a 3-classroom block. In most of the communities, all they need is potable water. In 2025, there are communities that have not seen light. Okay? Are we going to say that we have not all of these issues? We are. That is about priorities and choices. In this country, we think that development is about developing the regional capitals to the detriment of the districts, the municipals, and the communities and the villages. So when we build roads in Accra and we put up hospitals in Accra, we think we have developed Ghana. Or that we build airports in the Volta region. Ghana is Akabwem. Ghana is Jasikai. Ghana is Damango. Ghana is Wa. Ghana is everywhere. So we must be very intentional about these things going forward. And I believe that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, being a listening president, will take into account all of these things that we are talking about and will design a plan that is workable, that is...
Then we'll return to our main topics. But the one thing I keep hearing my panel, they keep saying it plan. It's not as if this country has not had plans. We had the GPRS 1, GPRS 2. We've had Vision 2020. We've had the GSGDA. We've had plans. Let's learn to stick to our developmental plans. We're a long-distance thinking country. Well, that's my take for this morning. We'll be right back after this break.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. Benin, Togo, Senegal, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loan. Burden of complex thinking of you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Meet Kwame. He's not just any Kwame. He's Kwame, the TV license legend. Kwame importing GB, making a real difference. Kwame's contribution helps bring our communities closer together. Because of Kwame and others like him, we will all have access to amazing TV programs, educational content, plus broadcasting infrastructures are maintained, and our culture is beautifully promoted. So education and It's 3 CDs per month or 36 CDs per year. If you have multiple sets, meaning 2 or more in your household, it's 60 CDs per year. For commercial institutions, it's your number of TV sets by 36 CDs per year, and you pay the invoiced amount directly to GBC. So let's all take a moment to appreciate Kwame, the TV license legend, and follow the prompt. It's your civic duty, so pay your TV license today. GBC, the authentic and trusted voice of Ghana.
Another year dawns, another season begins. A season of shaping, of polishing, and of becoming. Shaped, pushed to their limits until only the radiance rise. As the weeks go by, the pressure will rise because every task is crafted to mold raw gems into diamonds. This is not a fairy tale. To wear the crown and win the enviable prizes, one must have very one question lingers. Who will win and reign as the most radiant queen? Miss Malaika Ghana, the radiant season, showing this and every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. on GTV.
Hi, this is GB
District radio stations across the country.
Please reach our sales department at sales@gbcghanaonline.com and telephone numbers 0303 959604 and 0303 959605.
For all customer care issues, reach us by email care@gbcghanaonline.com and on telephone 30-3959-606.
GBC, still the most authentic voice.
Welcome back to Current Agenda, your authoritative news analysis and your Saturday morning companion. I hope our reflections put you in the right mode to think Ghana. One of the things that the panel said that left or stays with me is that Ghana is not Accra. Ghana is not Kumasi. Ghana is better than that. Ghana is Wa. Ghana is Boli Bamboy. Ghana is Takwa Nswayi, my hometown. Ghana is Swedro. Ghana is Nyenyano. Ghana is Elmina. So everywhere you are, once you are within the borders, and everyone deserves a share of the national development plan. And talking about that, it means that everybody also deserves help by the menaces of Galamsey. And this week, the famous Akwanta mining that hitherto the former government or the former president indicated that there was nothing wrong. He was mining legally. Everything about Akwanta mining, there was nothing to worry about. Guess what? Akwanta mining is, but eventually he was able to, the justification and all that were completed on Friday, I think. And so he was released and now being arraigned before a court, if I am correct. And so my panel in here will be discussing it, we'll be looking also into the activities of NIMOS. TUC also calling on government to declare PR for the lands ministry, and then lands and natural resources to get to know what the NIMOS is doing, what gains have been charged since the president's meet the press engagement. But I'll start with my panel and then once I have the PRO on phone, I'll switch to him to get some bit of update from the point of government. So I'll start with Kwame.
Yes.
Akunta Mining. This week, Akunta Mining has. It's interesting for me because it's 1 week you see Chemawun to me on campaign platforms saying things and getting bashing from his own people. Then the next week he's in the grips and then being asked to go get some. I think this time was 21 million, if I remember correctly, to be taking over our airwaves in different ways. But what really is the issue?
Well, I think that the issue is about Galamsey. The issue is about illegal mining. The issue is about the degradation of our forest reserve. The issue is about the destruction of our water bodies. The issue is about a firm commitment in dealing with the ravages of the issues of Galamsey and its attendant consequences, because it was one of the issues that took center stage prior to the 2024 election. You do recall that many people expressed their distaste about how the previous administration, the Nana Akufo-Addo administration, regarded laws of this country and were emboldened by the support of the Akufo-Addo presidency in engaging in illegal mining. And so it became a trumpeting issue, and we saw many Ghanaians throng the streets to demonstrate their displeasure about how Akufo-Addo administration approached the issue of. People became very alarmed and concerned, and we saw videos and pictures of newborn babies having defects and things like that. So it became a national issue, became a national emergency, it became a national security crisis. And so we needed to act in concert as a nation to bring the mind and attention of the then administration to the inaction of that government from the quarters of that administration, where you had very prominent leading members of the MPP actively indicate that because Ghanaians wanted them, MPP, to lose the election, they were asking them to stop people from mining. And they indicated that they were not going to attempt to prevent people from mining in our water bodies and water reserves. About the effect of Galamsey, the then Dankwa Akufo-Addo gave licenses, we're still issuing licenses to people to go and mine. Or introduce an ally to even lend support and give oxygen to the illegality that we're seeing in our forest, because party needed money, because party has a car to conduct the Martin was asked by the president to conduct a thorough investigation and bring a report of same to the presidency, for the president to be aware of who was doing what and who was involved and whether or not his own people were active players in the issue of Galamsey, and so that they would be able to elicit some response to Professor Frem. Akunta Mining was mentioned, Wuntumi was mentioned. There were several appointees who were mentioned in that report. But when it got to the presidency, no action was taken. And so all of these things told us at the time that the president was not committed to deal with the issue of Galamsey. And that created the problem.
No, I understand. I just want you to hold on because I understand Pakwesi has joined online. So let me just get him to speak, then I'll come back. So please hold on to your thought. If you forget, I'll remind you where you stopped up. Well, so viewers, I'm joined on phone by Pakwesi Shandoff. I earlier introduced him as relations and natural resources. Good morning, Pakwesi. Hello, Pakwesi, can you hear me? Good morning, Pakwesi. Right, okay, Kwame. So yes. you can continue.
So, I'm just trying to talk about where we have come from, and to be able to make progress, it is important to pronounce in the last 8 years. Let's not kid ourselves. And so it is important to pull parity with the events which happened during the previous administration with what the current administration is trying to do or attempting to do in order to deal with an 8-year-old problem. Because I'm talking about when it became this administration campaigned and said, when we come back, when we come to power, what we are coming to do, that's the NDC, what they are coming to do is to ensure that they deal with the financiers of the illegal activity. Think carefully, financiers, because in the estimation of the then candidate, who were mining the forest reserves and the water bodies are not the financiers, and therefore, if you arrested them, you were dealing with the wrong people. So we are going after the people who are funding these activities. So the question then becomes, who are the people funding these activities? It has become very axiomatic to all of us that the some chiefs, 2, some politicians, 3, some businessmen, 4, some foreign investors. So these are the people we are dealing with. Because the person who lives in Nimiri forest does not have the amount of money required to buy an excavator to come and do illegal mining. Obviously, that person ought to be sponsored by somebody very, if you like, became more pronounced, or the person whose name came up in all of these conversations is Chairman Muntumi and his Akonta mining. Because there is enough evidence to support the claim, particularly because of an investigation, the fact that Akonta mining had entered into some forest areas without the necessary license that they needed for the purposes of carrying out that activity. Number 2, that they had given out licenses to people, they had given out concessions to people to mine without the necessary approval from the last ministry. So clearly, this was a flagrant disregard for the laws governing the operations of Akonta mining, of the operations of mining in this country. So if today there's enough evidence per what you have been told by the Attorney General to go after the kingpin, what is wrong with that?
What is wrong with that? We'll come to discuss what is wrong. I understand. Hello, Pakwesi, good morning. Hello? Pakwesi, can you hear me? Okay. I think we're having, Maybe in 2 minutes you end, so I move to Ni.
And divorce the propaganda from the reality. Because you see, nobody can be prevented from speaking up or from, bringing out what they think is wrong with this administration's attempt, at dealing with the issue of Galamsey. But it is important to. So now, Chairman Wontumi has been arrested. The arrest for me lends credence to the promise that was made by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama that he was not going after the little people or the small people who have only been funded by some campaigns to go into the forest and go and mine. That he was, and perhaps his arrest and prosecution may lead us to identifying other campaigns who are behind these small scale miners. Now, the question then becomes, procedurally, okay, have we been able to deal with the issues well? For me, that when he was arrested, was it a fair thing to do? Yes, it was a fair thing to do. When he was granted bail, is it within his right to be granted bail? Yes, it's within his right to be granted bail. My issue, and maybe that would be the point of departure here, has got to do with the bail conditions. And I have written an article on it, that albeit that the Constitution in Article 14(4) talks about the presumption of innocence, that by law, all offenses are bailable. Those offenses that are bailable are subject to bail conditions, which bail conditions ought to be exercised with discretion, exercised arbitrarily. Because the exercise of that discretion must not be arbitrary, must be candid, must be fair, must be reasonable, must be justifiable, and it must not at all create the impression that we are politically trying to prevent somebody from enjoying that which constitutionally he ought to enjoy, which is the presumption of innocence. Okay? It is the court that has the authority or the jurisdiction to go into the substantive matter, to admit evidence which are admissible, and to make pronouncements on same if the person is found culpable. We should not use conditions as a means of preemptively concluding that somebody has indeed committed. We must do, in the exercise of that discretion, we must do so dispassionately, devoid of any political, machinations or any political undertones and underpinnings and things like that. Because it's becoming extremely harsh. And then my research tells me that if you look at the case in which Atutu Carter, the Venerable Atutu Carter, was involved, at the time, we described the Ghana City's bail condition. It's like, bail is only for the rich. If you don't have money, you cannot enjoy your freedom. It's like the mere fact that they are saying you've committed an offense, okay, we've passed judgment on you. That you are guilty until proven innocent. For me, that is what we ought to look at. And I'm writing extensively on that. And if I get clear about it vigorously, because we tomorrow, we don't know who will be before a competent court of jurisdiction, whose freedom will be curtailed by reason of his inability to meet some conditions, which are mere discretionary conditions.
I'm praying that we don't get to a time where you be asked to bring the intestines of an ant.
Absolutely, because you are saying that you have seen the person's passport. At every point of exit and entry, his name is there, so he cannot leave the country. Okay, he has sureties, 3 sureties, and then you are putting a fine of 25 million combined, 25 million Ghana cedis.
Anyway, so for viewers, Woon to me and Akunta Mining and some 4 others have been before I go to Ni. So I think the 4 people or the people, Edward Akwaku, Owusu Bempah, and one Kwame Enkwi, who remains at large. These were directors of Akunta Mining, and then Chairman Woon to me himself. Now, the first count is undertaking mining operations without a license. The second count is undertaking mining without a license. Woon to me, and that's again Kwame Enkwi and Woon to me. They pleaded not guilty, sorry. Count 3, undertaking mining operations without a license. That one is also Edward Akwaku, Owusu Bempah. Edward pleaded not guilty, whilst Owusu Bempah indicated license. Saying that Akunta Mining allegedly fell over 300 trees in the Tano Nimu Forest Reserve. Count 5 is abetting unauthorized felling of trees. Count 6 is erecting buildings in the forest reserve without a license. And then count 7 is abetting unauthorized erection of buildings in 7 charges, or the counts that have been brought against Woon to me, and these are the Accra High Court. So this Woon to me case, as Kwame said, is it the first indication? Because during the campaign, the president indicated that he believes those who had been imprisoned were not the real people behind the Galamsey. He thinks the financiers are really there, he'll go after them. Is Woon to me the first indication of the financiers that this government will go after?
I think that you've answered the question for yourself. There's the fact that it's the day and night difference between illegal mining as opposed to the way the MPP was handling issues on illegal mining. You had a situation under the President Ronaldo where, despite the goodwill that he enjoyed with the coalition against illegal mining, the national, the national favor that was built, where the media, everybody was in support. And he even put his presidency on the line. What was the result? We had the then minister, you understand? In the conversation, you could hear the famous words, you understand? And there was overwhelming evidence that persons within the party, the MPP party, were directly acting in ways that undermined the said effort by the president to fight Galamsey. And how do you? It is not possible. So whatever was out there was a facade. And that is when people began to get angry and began to rebel again, because the point was, if all of us have come to a conclusion that illegal mining has devastating consequences for our environment, for our water bodies, for our agric products and all, contaminating the soil and everything, which is enjoying our support to fight this, supporting its party chieftains to engage in illegal mining so that the party would profit, and indirectly the what do you call it, the government will profit, then what's the point? So that is where this unfortunate
discourse. Okay, President Muhammad said that, look, you cannot imprison Ghanaians, you understand, and give them harsh prison sentences when the real girl, and who didn't or who doesn't know that, in fact, your own lands ministry came out with a statement indicating the fact that the entry into the forest reserve by Akunta mining was illegal. Indeed, the worst part of it is where you have a president who comes after investigative bodies have issued statements to come and whitewash.
And I'll ask my production team to play that tape for us.
That was the lowest point of the presidency.
Get us the tape, because I want
President Nana Addo come out and say, after investigations had been conducted and a docket apparently was available indicating the activities of Akunta mining.
Okay, so 1 minute, I understand the video.
Oh, yes,
please, production team, you can play that video for me.
Let me respond briefly to the chairperson on the issue of illegal mining. I want to assure him and all of you that Akunta mining is not anywhere in the natural resources, has, through the agency of the Forestry Commission, with the assistance of the military, made the effort to cordon off all 294 sites of forest reserves in the country and rid them of illegal mining. Work to ensure
Akunta mining is not involved in any form of illegal.
That was the saddest point of the presidency. You understand? Because it was that point that everybody gave up. That was the point. Because if you have the president who is supposed to be the leader of the fight against illegal mining, not having the moral persuasion, you understand, that he is ready to lead the fight, then there was a need for a change. There was a complete need for a change in approach and personnel, including the fact that your own minister authored a report naming very senior persons within your administration as being involved in illegal mining. That report was buried. You understand? So the MPP government and its apparat did not have any moral inkling or motivation. It just was not there because they didn't have the. You can't look your friend in the face and tell him that I'm going to fight illegal mining when the party has to be able to do the illegal mining, to be able to tackle illegal mining. The man is telling you that the party is benefiting from the proceeds of illegal mining. So it is not possible for you to fight illegal mining. And so imagine we had the MPP for another 4 years. You would have been importing water. You would definitely have been importing water. What was even worse was the passage of that act to authorize mining in forest reserves. That was criminal. That was criminal. You understand? So that has been the posture of the MPP when it comes to fighting illegal mining. There was no fight. The fight, compare that to what is happening currently. The first point President Mahama made was that he has no personal interest in illegal mining. You see, that's when you have a president who is bold enough to say that I, President, I have no personal interest in illegal mining. So when I put NAMOS out there, arrest anybody who has anything to do with illegal mining. Because the president has illegal mining. It's as straight as that. That's the president telling you that I, the president, have the moral authority to go after illegal miners. And I'm not just going after illegal miners. I'm going after those who are perceived to be at the top echelon of this fight. So all of a sudden, the security agencies and others also feel energized to come out. Because look, if you are in the security services and the posture of your political bosses is that we are not fighting this illegal man. If you produce any report, you are only asking to either be transferred to MO or to you find yourself on peacekeeping or somewhere. Because there will be no fight. Political bosses. Then all the dockets that were hidden now come out. So now we are able to hear that hidden dockets, which hitherto were nowhere to be found, have resurfaced. The information is there. You understand? And for the first time, we are seeing somebody who is politically exposed going through the criminal process on the charge of illegal mining. It's no longer the Chinese or the young people in the mine. This time, the so-called kingpins are being taken as what I call the day and night approach towards what? The fight against illegal mining. You cannot, by any measure, compare President Mohammed's fight against illegal mining to the MPP or President Ronaldo's fight against illegal mining. It is as if you are comparing day and night. And I think that the public is clear. The fact that ministers lost their lives in the fight against illegal mining to ensure that this fight is seen to, because it is a fight for a survivor. It's a fight to ensure that you and I don't have to buy water. You understand? To import water from sources are not contaminated with heavy metals. You understand? True. Now, buy food from certain areas. I know friends who now want to import directly from the north and bring their food stuff straight. At least there's up north, there's no illegal mining. Your tomatoes, your pepper, everybody is now scared to buy from certain areas. Imagine what will happen if the people in those areas produce food and nobody buys those foods. That is a national. What is going on? That the fight must be unbending, unwavering, and the only way that they are being supported is when they see the leader. You understand? Not in support, directly or indirectly, so that nobody can call the NAMOS commander and tell that, hey, I'm calling from the Flagstaff House. You cannot go to this place. It's not going to happen. Because the president has no interest. And if the president has no interest, how much more you an appointee? You understand? And so I think that the minister for and the attorney general, minister of justice must be congratulated. You understand? He has not only signed off on prosecution. This is a landmark prosecution. You understand? Because for the first time, somebody who is politically exposed is going through the process. Now, if one to me is taken through court, now who born, as they say, dog, when it comes to the others? You understand? So those who are involved in this know that when there's evidence, the state will come after you whatsoever. There's no compromise. It is a life and death fight, and we are going to ensure that at the end of the day, we reverse the environmental degradation.
And we are showing on our screen this railway line.
The cost of railway, putting railway tracks.
We keep fighting, talking every day about transportation, traffic, and all that. If we keep doing this to our rails,
especially wanted to make a quick point and to say that, I've heard arguments about whether or not the NDC administration within this 9-month period is fighting Galamsey. I have been following because it is a matter of national crisis. So I've been following, and I think the point that you made about the by a report, I think.
TUC.
But even there's a UN report that says, Ghana may import water in 2032, even before the devastating effect of galamsey. But the point I actually want to stress is that a government that is committed to dealing with issues will lay out a roadmap,
right,
and engage the citizenry, carry the citizenry process, what has been done, what has not been done, what we intend to do. I think that, you cannot falter this administration when it comes to that. Because in the beginning, the Lands Ministry, what it sought to do under the leadership of Amakofi Honorable was to invite, stakeholders. I think the meeting was held, I believe, at Moving Pick or something like that. Invite stakeholders. That culminated into the birthing of the Blue Water Guard, if you remember. And people began questioning the potency of that, the security agents, for want of better description, But it is evident that subsequent to the birthing of the Blue Water Guard, you've seen that on some of our water bodies, they've been massive, in dealing with the issue of mining the water bodies.
Excavators are not flying.
Excavators, yes, are not flying any longer.
You cannot have people who are in government auctioning excavators which have been seized.
Absolutely.
And the fight is day and night.
Now, if you also look at even the current intervention of NIMOS, it is also very evident.
And I mean, it looks like subsequent NIMOS has been very much in the news.
Exactly.
They are cracking down. Exactly. I think this week there were 28 illegal miners at Cape Coast. I think so. That was.
I am just looking at the commitment. Sometimes it's not just about, it is about the intention behind the action that matters. That the president, by all indications, has the intention of dealing with the issue of galamsey. So the birthing of NIMOS, for me, is also a step in the right direction. Now, this conversation about state of emergency is neither here nor there. And that is why I sought to look at the exigency of the time which led to the calls by many for the declaration of a state of emergency under the Akufo-Addo administration.
What has changed?
What has the Water Guard? That you can see commitment in the eyes of this administration.
Okay, Kwame.
That you can see that you don't have the president calling people to intervene when people are arrested.
We just watched a video of the president aside the bit of clearing Akunta mining, where he was giving a clear account of successes.
Yeah.
Well, but now we are.
I mean, look,
they provided a lot of evidence. I can get my
truth is in the womb of time. Truth is in the womb of time. At the time, we did not have the opportunity, and we couldn't have had the opportunity of unraveling the truth because we couldn't have. Because you had a president who was a benevolent, and when it comes to cementing a position, you can't take that away from President Akufo-Addo. He knew how to speak. He was very convincing.
So it was.
That is why.
Speech.
I mean, it was just a facade. It was just a complete facade. Because you see, the point is that lying underneath the belly of that statement was the reality, which was that the party needed money to fund the party, and it's made by the then Akufo-Addo administration. We had dealt with the issue of galamsey. Because you see, and I hear people say, oh, the turbidity levels have gone up. It is like you buying a car and failing to service the car. You have used the car, you've never changed the oil, you've never changed the tires, you've never changed the brakes. Then I sell it to you. And the car breaks down. You say, aha, you see, you bought the car. And so whatever effect we are seeing now is as a result of your inability to maintain the vehicle. So it is a continuous process. Like
absolutely no.
Let me remember my comment. Yes. So I am saying that all these things that we are seeing, the effect, the stability levels, and all of that we are seeing is as a result of the deliberateness on the part of a Akufo-Addo administration to engage in illegal mining and to use mercury in doing the same. And that is why some talk. Let's be factual.
I want
to ask this government to be able to deal it is not doable. It is not doable.
But I think what the people are asking for is not, of course, nobody
you can
in
see
there.
some progress. You see, the thing is, I keep telling you that you have somebody who has used 8 years to destroy something. And you are saying that somebody should use 9 months.
That was the one.
You see, that's the whole point. So
I think this is the whole point.
Yes.
I think
that
somebody, like you said, has used 8 years to destroy a car's engine. And then another person standing out there says, given this car's engine has got into you need to ground this car and do a total overhaul. And the person says that this car cannot continue to be used or to move to carry people on the road. It's a road hazard. It's a risk. Keeps trumpeting. And then people said, oh, what this guy is saying is good. It's true. So give him the car. Then the car is given to you. And then now you say, well, I don't think it should be grounded like it for a bit of time. If it doesn't solve that problem, then I'll ground it.
Absolutely.
And then the people are saying that, but when you were saying this, did you not know? Because how would you have known that whatever they were doing probably would have also worked in the 9th year?
Yes. So what I'm saying is that you have somebody not changing the oil, not changing the brake fluid, and all the plugs going through some undulating, routes. You are scared. Then I take the vehicle. I say, you give me the vehicle. I'll be able to run with it. At the time, because of the way you were managing the vehicle, I said, Master, don't continue to drive the car because you kill people. Ground it. You refuse to do so. I now pick the vehicle. I said, okay, I am not going to. Secondly, I'll change the oil. Thirdly, I will make sure that I spray the vehicle. So there is a clear roadmap in dealing with that issue. It is not the admission or otherwise of the if you like, imperfection of the vehicle. It is a solution that we are talking about.
So you're saying
there's a problem, and you
just should trust the new car owner to try the options they are trying. If that one doesn't work, then now we can call for it.
Let me deal with this issue of state of emergency. You see, the level of desperation that the past MPP administration drove this country and the citizens of this country, you understand, left everybody with no option and fighting illegal mining. What else do you expect the citizens to do but to ask you to declare a state of emergency? Because the government itself is a partner in illegal mining. You understand? You drive the people to a point of desperation. In the reverse, the president is not only leading the fight, he's opened up his space and says, CSOs, come and continuously engage me in this issue. My doors remain open keep the fire burning. Did you hear President Nana talk or deal with the CSOs the way President Mahama is dealing with the CSOs? This is a president who is open. I keep saying this. This is a president who is not running for another term. So his approach and his style to leadership is different. He is on a legacy, and he always says this. He wants to leave a legacy which will be even difficult to break within the Fourth Republic. So, and he makes the commitment, and I want everybody to take note of this commitment, that he has no personal interest in Galamsey. That is a very bold statement. You see, when the leader tells you that I have no personal interest in what is going on, how can any appointee under him?
Well, but somebody said,
this from civil society, among others, that his own party members were in the lead position when it comes to
the that was hindsight. At the point when he was saying this,
CSOs went to the Ghana Police Service. Persons went to petition the Ghana Police Service.
I'm saying
that's how you have. That's how you have the docket that went missing and has now resurfaced. So I'm telling you that at the time when he was making those pronouncements that he is putting his presidency on the line, what happened to the docket?
That's my point I'm making.
The reverse now is that you have a president who is telling you that I have no personal interest in what do you call it, in illegal mining. I am putting NAMOS in place. I am prosecuting so-called kingpins in respect of Galamsey. Name one NDC person or tell me somebody you know who is involved to the police or met President Mahama. They name certain persons who they claim, and what was the response of the Attorney General? This is not a government that is hiding behind anyone or shielding anyone. That's the difference. And so that's why the president keeps saying that, look, I am a president who works with my advisors and all. I have a National Security Council. You don't just get up and take a decision on a state of emergency without advice. Other than that, that will be an arbitrary exercise of his discretionary power. And that is frowned upon even in the court. So he tells my security advisors, tell me that we've gotten to the point where there is no other option but to declare a state of emergency. He will do so. But we haven't gotten there yet. But he's saying that looking at the resources available to me, looking at the fight we are putting up, I believe that there are other ways of dealing with this particular issue, you understand, without declaring a state of emergency.
And don't you think that even the president would have been justified to declare a state of emergency, particularly because he lost his defense minister?
Exactly.
That would have been...
Look at the sacrifice. Look. And the government, other important issues that we should be dealing with, everything is on a standstill. The monies that we could have used for other things, we are dedicating it towards the fight against Galamsey. You cannot compare the attitude and the commitment of President Mahama to the MPP. That's why everybody even has the moral authority to get up and talk about Galamsey. They can't even be heard to be talking about Galamsey. Let's leave that to the CSOs. At least they have credibility. The opposition has absolutely no credibility when it comes to the fight against Galamsey. They shouldn't even be heard talking about it.
So the fact that I didn't treat my wife well, does it mean that I don't have the right to condemn somebody when they are beating their wife?
When you want to talk about wife abuse, you must come with clear. You cannot be heard to be beating your wife in the house. Everybody knows your wife beater, and then you get up and be going to church and counseling people about the fact that they should not be beating their wives.
No, but that's not what they are telling their wife that this one says he will treat you better. He's even beating you more. Please. That's basically what you are saying. Anyway, viewers, we will take a quick break. When we come back, we would look into all this ambulance issue. It's all of a sudden revived in a different form. We will look into it when we return from the break.
For decades, we have helped businesses connect with their trade partners all over the globe. From Ghana to Burkina Faso, China, Morocco, France, Netherlands, and many other countries. We have made it possible to bring Ghana to the world. We have brought small and medium businesses closer to their customers across the regions in Ghana with our SME support facilities. We have brought relief and smiles to the faces of families with our employee personal loans. Support. We take the burden of complex thinking off you, making life simple. That is who we are, as close as a partner. Bank of Africa. We are indeed the African bank with the global reach.
Welcome back to Current Agenda. We are live on GBC and on GTV and also on Radio Ghana. So keep your comments on all the socials coming. We would read them when we share your opinions. Our intention is not to exhaust topics here. Our intention is to stir up the discussions at home so you continue from wherever it is that you are, so that you join it and make it a national discourse. Well, this week we heard that the famous Japa has reported to the CID that he's using him to give certain statements that would eventually get our current finance minister prosecuted and probably jailed. And so he's gone to the CID and asked for actions to be taken. It's a developing story. We also heard Godfrey respond and call it all kinds of names, and my team will try to look into it and speak to it. Like I mentioned, it's a developing story, so we'll speak to the surface of it. As and when it goes on, we'll come back here and go into it in details. So Nii, probably I'll start with you. This petition by Richard Jakpa to the CID, what is its legal significance under our guidance? I mean, recently we've had this whole brouhaha with regards to the Chief Justice. Then now there is this case against a former Attorney General. Are we gradually getting to a place where we can even say that confidently a president of under a former regime can be prosecuted outside what the Constitution says cannot?
The Constitution gives some immunity, but President Mahama was investigated by the Special Prosecutor upon a report by the former president, President Nana Addo, when the allegation broke out on the the Airbus scandal. That was the first time a sitting president had reported a former president to an investigative body to be investigated. So I think we've gone past those stages, you know. And if there's evidence that a former president has committed a crime, there's absolutely no reason why it cannot be investigated. I think that, you know, this is a normal function of the police CID. If those who have been in practice, my learned friend here will say, we have clients who go and defend all the time. Somebody believes that a crime has been committed. One of the options is to petition the nearest police station. You go, you file the complaint at the police station, and then the police have a of petitioning the CID boss. And once they do that, depending on where the location of the CID boss can direct that you should go to a local police station or that you are invited to take a statement. And so it is the normal criminal process. And I think it just highlights the fact that nobody is above the law. I will not comment on the merits of the allegation because it's under investigation. Jakpa feels that, well, in the course of his prosecution, he was allegedly being manipulated or being coached to provide evidence or to fabricate evidence one way or the other. So he has, after, I'm sure, some time, decided or so. And so the police are, in the spirit of openness, invited, because you have a right to be heard. And I understand from what happened, Mr. Dami went with his prepared statement. He had typed out. He relied on SIM. He was granted self-recognizance bail, and then the police will do their investigations to contain the statements of the complainant, the statement of the accused person or the suspect. That in the instance is the suspect. And they will refer it to the Attorney General's office for advice. And based on the advice the Attorney General will prefer, the person, the suspect, may either be charged or may be released. You can compare this to the same processes that are happening in the United States and President Trump. You understand? Said yes, and that's the beauty of democracy. President Trump underwent how many was charged, indicted about 5 or 6 times.
Yes.
And the Democrats were very proud of it. You see, sometimes, as they say in this world, when you have power, you have to be careful how you exercise the power. Because today you may be the of democracy. Everybody must be given due process. You understand? That's the point that must be emphasized. That under no circumstances should somebody's rights be what? Be trampled upon. And clearly, Mr. Dami went to the place with as many as reportedly 70 lawyers. So there can be no charge from him that his rights were abused one way or the other. The same way Mr. Jakpa went through the criminal process, he was prosecuted, fought the case. Because once you've exercised that power and you are also on the reverse side, you should also be prepared to go through the process, And that's why I made the comparison to the US, that during an election year, President Trump was indicted 4 times. Some in civil cases, some in criminal cases. He was given mark shots, Yet he went through it whilst he was complaining, he still went through the process. Today, some of those people who were the ones doing the investigations and doing the prosecutions are also going through the same process. And I don't hear them. I shouldn't be. Once you are indicted, you go through the process. So I think that, as some of his lawyers said, it's the early days yet. Now we are at the fundamental stages. And the docket is going to prepare. And I understand somebody too petitioned the CID in respect of the matter, because the position of the spokespersons for Mr. Dan, a relative of Mr. Jakpa, who happens to be a Supreme Court judge, was not had not contacted Mr. Dami in the first place. But at the end of the day, what is important is that, and even to some extent, Mr. Justice
Lindy?
No. The comments by, there was a ruling. There was a ruling on the tape. Was that the essence? Was the
conclusive of the matter,
or the conclusive of the matter? Because my criminal notes mind doesn't tend to go in that direction, simply because a court in a trial, you understand, in the Jakpa trial, commented on an application raised by one of the parties, which was not to do with the fact that the substance, nobody had been charged of evidence and others. Now, that was not the had raised that there should be a mistrial on the grounds that there was this blah blah blah, had it got to do with anything to do with someone facing a charge of fabrication and then the court making a pronouncement on that particular, the facts are on whether or not, and for you to be able to prove that, there has to be a trial. So if the Attorney General, in his wisdom, studies the docket and decides that the charges should be preferred, and remember that the charges being preferred does not mean you are guilty. Yeah. So we are going through a process. You know? So a lot of the public relations that I see going on in respect of the criminal investigation, I think that if that is meant to stop the criminal investigation, that will happen, because others, when they were suspects, also pronounced their innocence. They made all the noise about their innocence, but it didn't stop them from being charged in court and from going to trial. The current finance minister, he made all the points when he was charged. I hope that is not an attempt to preempt the possible trial, because if the AG is of the opinion that, or the AG's office is of the opinion that the charge can be sustained. Remember that it is not that you are guilty, but whether the state believes that they can sustain a charge against you. And Mr. Dami has exercised that power on a number of occasions in respect of high-profile matters. Be proven, he may be arraigned, and then he will have his opportunity in court to raise all the possible defenses. But remember that in criminal cases, the possible defenses that you may have would include whether you have been previously convicted or previously charged, and there was. I haven't heard of what do you call it? In criminal cases, that a pronouncement, and so that means that you are. I mean, that was a fast stretch, But let's see. I mean, it's exciting for students of the law, for people who want to undertake criminal studies. I think that it raises interesting matters. But we are early days yet. I'm sure we'll come back to this matter.
But again, to you, I'll indicate that you are details of this case. Bit of education when it comes to state prosecutors and this issue of evidence fabrication. How does it work?
Well, again, I don't want to go into this.
Yes, not in business. In general, we are speaking in general.
I'll not provide any legal advice to any side. What I basically would say is this: there are rules of engagement. You understand? To lead somebody to deliberately fabricate or to invent, evidence that you necessarily believe that will help to convict someone. You understand? That is not allowed. And so, whether the conversation between Jakpa and you see, because this now narrows down to the conversation between the two of them. See, people must not obfuscate matters. The conversation between other parties, if you believe it's relevant to your defense, may be something that you raise when it comes there. You understand? But the state's interest, if I were to be looking at this matter, is primarily whether the conversation between the two parties has the elements or ingredients to satisfy the charge. You understand? And it has nothing to do with third-party conversation, because the conversation is sustain a charge with respect to this particular provision of the Criminal Offences Act. If it's done, I'm done as a prosecutor. It is done for you as a defendant to say that, okay, I engage in this conduct, but in engaging in this conduct, it was as a result of this invitation from this person, this invitation from this person. So are you saying that that person should be added to the charge sheet? The prosecutor, it's enough for me to be able to sustain the charge. He would go ahead. So I found some of the commentary quite interesting, but I think that we should not have our attention diverted. The conversation between the two parties is at the heart of what the charge is. It's not about a tripartite meeting. It's a different thing if it was a tripartite meeting in which, if we believe that there was other persons that or other conversations that were had, you may not dictate to the prosecution which conversations it should use. The prosecution exclusively holds the right to its case. And remember, the complainant's charge or the complainant's complaint is tailored on one particular conversation. You understand? That particular conversation, is it that did it take place? You understand? So issues have been raised about the dates that it was allegedly to have taken place, and that at the time that it took place, the evidence of the state had already been assembled and all that. Fine. That may be, as I said, evidence for your defense. Factually, for example, the date on which the prosecution says that thing happened did not happen. That is a very, because if indeed on a particular date that we allege, that the state alleges the A, B, and C happened, and you say that, look, on that day I was in Canada, and I have evidence to show that I was in Canada, and no such conversation happened. I have my phone record to show that there was no conversation between myself and that person. If that is not at the heart of the charge, but the fact that the conversation took place, you understand, and it took place whilst the trial was ongoing, and before the person mounted the box to give evidence, and that there was a series of meetings, all those things then will have to be assessed by a determination whether you have to open your defense or not. So I think that people are overloading the public with information and trying to win the court of public opinion fight. Whilst there is a real court room in there, and I've heard a lot of professionals who have previously commented that, look, they do their cases in court. They don't do their cases in the court of public opinion. I'm a bit surprised that they are overloading.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. Times have changed.
Yes,
because you have to now realize the fact that there's the court of public opinion and there's the court of law.
Yes.
You understand? And so now you are loading the public with information that you adversely rather would have kept, you understand, and then released it when it came to your day in court. And so clearly perhaps people can see that maybe the accused person is how it goes.
I have two comments for you. There are more, but I'll just read two. Okay. The first one, has to do with the first topic we discussed on the Galamsey. It says that, good morning, my host. I'm already smiling. Why are the two NDC reps? I didn't know you're an NDC rep, Kwame. The last I checked, you were a running mate for Movement for Change. Are you an NDC rep?
Sometimes it's very frustrating when people think you really do. When you speak in a manner that, in their view, offends their political party, then they seek to pigeonhole you. But when you speak in a manner that supports them, then that one...
Because I've seen a lot of attack on social media.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. The most important thing is that I'm a Ghanaian and I am entitled to my view. I can express it without fear or favor. I'm on record to have criticized the NDC administration, and nobody can take that away. Ultimately, what I do is to represent the views of the average Ghanaian, those who do not have the opportunity to sit here and express themselves, are the people that I speak for. So you can hold your view. It's okay. You're entitled to your view.
Okay.
I'm not offended. So, and in any event, if NDC is not an occult group, so even if you describe me as a member of the NDC,
one information that I left out of my distance, that all the forest areas where mining has gone on have been declared security zones.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's important information for people.
Yes. So, Mr. Host, why are the two NDC reps at your studio talking as if the court has already convicted Wunmi to me for engaging in illegal mining? Well, I don't think that's what has been said.
We didn't even talk about
we've not discussed the charges. I just listed the charges.
People should listen.
No.
But it's important to stress.
I understand.
It is important
my testers are my testers.
No, I agree. That is your view. But I think that he was not either following the discussions from the beginning. Because I was even of the opinion that the bail conditions are harsher. I made that point. And I said that I'm writing an article on that and I'm going to pursue that.
Right. So then Sawari Jacob from Laura also says we have one Ghana and we must all come together to fight against illegal mining. Galamsey Effect has no respect for political colors. We should support the NDC government to face me and others to face the law. A leader who thinks he will glorify illegalities to retain the power, nature will expose him. I'm just thinking how President Nana will for allowing his gurus to do this to our country in the name of party needs money. So Sawari Jacob from Laura. So please keep your comments coming. Kwame.
Yes, sir.
So this Japa case.
Yeah. The AG filed for a discontinuance, I think. Yeah, so discontinuance, it means that the matter is settled. You can't relitigate the matter. So that's the end of it. I think what really this is going to do is to pitch the issue of professional misconduct or conduct, as against political vendetta, because people are of the view that this is political witch hunting, and whether I find expression in that which governs all of us as lawyers, that we must operate within the confines of codes and ethics. That is what we use. That is those are the rules that we must abide by. I think that in some of these conversations, we must try, albeit difficult, to extricate politics from the substance of the matter. It is very, very instructive that we try to find a way of politicizing the matter. So it becomes NDC, MPP, and then we neglect the substance of the issue. What are the issues? And Senior said he's not going to go into it. It's not before any competent court of jurisdiction. It's just before the police. So I'm allowed to look at the matter.
I love that what you
absolutely. So evidence or testify falsely against Atto-Forsyth, the current Minister for Finance, so that he will, they will jail him. That's what he said. And several meetings were held. The Attorney General's defense is that at the time when he reached out to Japa was defending himself. He had fired his lawyer. So it's as a matter of procedure, he needed to reach out to Japa and then have some discussions with him. You and I were not there. So we are not privy to the content of that conversation. But what we are aware of is the tape that was leaked to the media, which contained the conversation between Mr. Godfrey Dame and the instance of... Because you see, the thing is, this one was the phone conversation.
Exactly, that's what I said. There's need to...
Yes, because this one was a phone conversation. I don't think that that's even if Justice Kolindi invited them, because we don't have evidence to that effect. These are allegations that are, that people are flying around. But the point is that what is now the subject matter of controversy is between Godfrey Dame and Japa, which conversation, in the view of Japa, was asking him to perjure himself, to lie in court, and to even forge documents to the fact that he was unwell, etc., etc. Right? these are matters that ought to be dealt with. That even if Jakpa was representing himself, was it good to ask him?
We're not dealing with ethics here. We're dealing with the criminal charge.
I'm just even trying to look at it from that perspective. Of course. Was it okay? That because he makes the point that Jakpa was representing himself, and therefore
but he's not
talking to Jakpa.
So you are confusing the two. There's the issue of the ethical issues that are also ongoing.
Yeah.
But this one is the criminal charge.
No, I agree. But I'm saying that
you've seen his arguments both at the legal council and at the CID.
Yes.
So you need to.
Okay. Well, but the point is that this is a matter that is still unfolding, and in the final analysis, we will get to the tail end of it. But yes, clearly, to the extent that Jakpa feels that needs to investigate, and then the matter perhaps prosecuted. He's not stopped from doing that at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
But does this set a precedence for future cases that are sensitive or of this nature? Does it now give an indication to prosecutors, even getting witnesses to corroborate or getting people to corroborate certain testaments?
The rules of engagement are clear. The rules of engagement are well written. I mean, it's a whole Bible that all of us have to always be guided by, whether you are prosecuted. There's even there's a whole handbook of LI that governs the defense and defense counsels, and and even judges have their own handbook. So I think the rules of engagement are clear. Sometimes we try to get into the middle, between the gray areas, and that's where the problems arise. So I think that Mr. Jakpa has a right to have his day in court. You understand? As a complainant. He was an accused person. He went through the process despite who believes that he wants to seek redress through the criminal process. He cannot be denied. You understand? He has been subjected to the same process. What it just teaches all of us is that in exercising power, you understand, we should always be mindful of the fact that, it can have repercussions. You understand? And today you may be in power, tomorrow you may be out of power. And so when exercising that power, know that, it can be, you can be at the receiving end, say about it.
Okay, you need to be careful. Well, viewers, like we said, this is a developing story. We would get more details as it evolves or as it moves on. Godfred Dame, the former Attorney General, Minister of Justice, has also filed his statement. A huge number of lawyers, we can't say for a fact if that is the case. And so we are hoping to see how this goes within the course of time. Like my panel have said, both sides have a right. Richard Jakpa has a right to seek justice, and then the former Attorney General also determine whether there is anything worth listening to. Hopefully all of them will have their day at trial to speak to their defense and then to speak to their case. So it's an unfolding story. We will continue with you and we'll keep coming here to let you know what has become of it as and when it develops. We'll look at the GTech issue also, the take away their doctor titles. Some have responded and given evidence. Others have quietly in public defending it, but quietly taking it off, and now don't use that prefix again. And so it's as to is with us in this part of the Sahara, but my panel, I mean, they are not academics in that strictest of sense, so we'll try and see how. In that strictest of sense. That's what I said, in that strictest of sense. Yes. So we would try and go into it and see what it means. You see, have been asked to discontinue to MPhil, an MPhil program and an MSc program in the customs administration. First, does the GTech have that right and authority?
Well, if you look at the statute establishing them, they came and the Ghana Tertiary Education, they are not the Ghana Tertiary Education.
Yes. Yes. I'll just
GTech. Yes.
Ghana Tertiary Education, is it?
Council.
I think so.
Yeah. So they basically, we all remember the NAB. You know, this was certificate equivalent education in this country, and I think that I like it when the regulatory bodies are proactive. You know, this issue about if you want a PhD, go out there and earn it. You know, it's not easy. You know, it's not easy. Wonderful. I'm trying to earn one chapter. You know, it's a journey.
How long have you been there?
I've been there for some time. Just for some more. I've been there for some time. You know, and even getting the chapter one approved is a headache. So it's not easy. I mean, it's not easy at all, you know. Especially when you do the having some professor. This topic, why is it that even the topic, why? What is happening in Ghana that makes you make it such a, you know, is anybody dying? Why? And I'm thinking that look, this is after headaches and going through.
This is the best topic.
This is the best topic I could.
Anybody who agree.
Come up with, you know. So I think that it is good for them to sanitize the space. Academic integrity is important, you know. I keep telling my students that if you go through a program as rigorous as law and you come out not only understand, and so we've moved away from the, you know, essay kind of questions to the questions that we call the problem, you know. So I keep telling that nobody will walk into your law firm and ask you what are the types of interest in land in Ghana. No, but then somebody will come with a problem, you know, and expect that you will be able to, based on your knowledge of the law, see how you can provide a solution. You understand? And that's how education has shifted throughout. It's an application-based, you know, so even for, you know, the cheap and poor, but you want to especially know that your students are able to solve problems based on the knowledge of the theories. The theories are there, but how are they able to make it relevant even in the changing phase of the industry in the country? So I want to urge the GTech. They should go ahead, especially all those using all these fake I think that we need a clever how and when you can use these titles. You know, recently there was a decision in the U.S. court, a U.S. court that said that even nurses who had done the PhD cannot call themselves doctor. You know, you know. So it's important that we learn to have academics go there, do the course, painfully go through the 4 or 5 years, get it from an accredited institution, so that when you hold yourself out and you announce yourself as a PhD scholar, you know, you've done the data research, you've done the additional research, and you are able to contribute new knowledge to our environment, to our society, rather than buying Ferrari, you know, and then you get up and you get it in all your emails, you know, and then you get these emails, pay this amount, and no, you can't do that.
You know, the interesting thing is when this came up, I was surfing the internet, and France 24 published an article, I think somewhere in August, and it doesn't look like it's only in Ghana. Eh?
No.
It says that I think this is in which country is this? I'll get it. In Spain. I had to step down because of a similar issue. The person was also using, so this is that the controversy began on 21st July when Transport Minister Oscar Puente of the ruling Socialist Party raised concerns about the academic record of Nuales Lunes, a lawmaker from the opposition Conservative Popular Party. And I'm reading this like I had never intended to mislead the public. At least for these ones, they resigned. There was another person who was the president of the Andalusian regional government who was also accused of falsely claiming a business degree, and then he also resigned. The government's delegate in Valencia, Pilar Benabe, also was accused of inaccurately stating she had resigned. So at least for this part, when they are accused, they resign. Our part,
they have integrity.
Our part doesn't. But I mean,
we don't seem to have.
But back to this particular issue.
Look, the point is, I think, and I stand on all fours with what he has spoken about. Just to add that credentials, you're not supposed to the practicality or otherwise of people, because Dr. Baumia has demonstrated to us that, you know, being called a doctor does not mean that you have the wherewithal to do any of the things that you promise to do. It's clear, you know. There are so many people walking around with PhDs and doctor this, doctor that, but they don't know anything, you know. So on credentials,
I've had Harvard trained economists. They handle our economy.
This is true.
We have a KNUST economist who is handling our economy
better. So I think that you know, yes, GTEC as a regulatory body must sanitize the space. I have not started mine yet. I'm hoping to start next year. You know, but with the way you are talking, but I will start next year. You know, so that you know. But yes, clearly we must sanitize the.
But for me, my major challenge, and probably need my help me with this, is why do we even allow the things start in the first place before we come and crack down? It's typical of us in this. We watch on people raise buildings in wrong places, but we allow people bring in stolen cars. We put tax duties and everything on those cars. Person clears it, it comes out before we come and sees. Why do we allow it to go? I mean, this program, this MPhil and MSc program, clearly did not just start today.
Yeah,
it's been. I'm sure there are people who have graduated or maybe in the process. I stand to be corrected. And who gave them the accreditation?
Talked about who gave them the accreditation. In all institutions, you would have bad ones. I can tell you for a fact that just as you go to the Lands Commission and you find people giving titles to lands which are already in the names of other people, you know, it's evident of how porous our institutions are. So yes, people can give licenses and authorizations to institutions to run some programs without meeting the, you know, better late than never. Now that we have become aware of all of these negatives characterizing our, you know, educational system, we need to address them. For me, it is important that once we identify, we do something about it, as opposed to just identifying and sitting aloof. I think that in recently, JTech has become in going into these matters. You recall the NBC's own computer, even Professor Yinsu came under some heavy attack. I think recently also, what's his name? Asibi.
I think even this week, Dr. Osai. So he responded and then attached.
No, so once you have it, you can attach with all the documentation. But I think that I like the fact that people walking around, calling themselves doctors and disgracing, the country when they clearly are not people with such qualifications. So I'm happy that we are doing that. We must always try to get institutions to work and not put impediments on their way. In this country, we pay lip service, and we criticize when then we also have a cause to complain. I don't think that we should get to the point of complaining. We should allow JTech to work and to ensure that people who call themselves doctors have the necessary qualifications, certifications to back their credentials.
Okay, so just to put viewers, just to put this in perspective, what actually the JTech is let me for the MPhil Customs Administration and the MSc Customs Administration.
Most of them was
for the program to be done taught in regular and in-person mode. However, the university has started running a sandwich and fully online programs for this, and that is what they are asking them to not do. So just to put it in context for us to understand. So what becomes of those who probably may have done the online graduated?
It's not the first time that universities have had to deal with unaccredited programs. That's where the problem is, where you have not waited for the full accreditation, but you've jumped ship and then you've gone ahead to start running the program, hoping that maybe you'll be given an interim accreditation, awaiting the final accreditation.
I mean, they've given at the end of October to probably, if they want to go fully online, and they should seek that accreditation. But in the meantime, they find them to withdraw all admissions granted under the accredited programs, and also told the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority that they would not recognize any certificates issued under.
They're going hard. They're going very, but I'm sure they will find a middle way. Sometimes they do this initially to send you a message that you cannot take them for granted. You understand? Sometimes the complaint from the universities is that the processes of accreditation take too long. But they also tell you the quality control. They need to ensure that the quality control. When you have professors and there's a subcommittee that has to look at among others. So these things, you have to do a lot of behind the scenes work before you. So I'm sure UCC will do the right thing. They are very noble institution. It's not good for their public image. It's not good for their public image. So I'm sure they will react and then behind the scenes engage the JTech to ensure that the right things are active. They are one of the few regulatory bodies that are out there, solving issues. So we should congratulate them, and wish them the best.
But should some of these things not be done on the quiet? Considering, this is like
the ramifications. This
is UCC.
You see, the ramifications. Because our universities are internationally ranked.
Exactly.
You it's like get. So, I think there can be a middle way. Where you can draw the attention quietly, if they refuse to, then you come out forcefully. But I think that when you rush to the media first, you damage the reputation of the university. And sometimes those things take years to build, because it affects the international rankings, affects international students. Now we are in an information technology world. So anyone who wants to, and some students just want to have a different experience. A lot of international students who come into other jurisdictions come into those jurisdictions because they just want to have that experience. It adds to their CV that they are educated in other places. Maybe their future interest of coming to work in those areas. Some of the students you see sometimes go into the foreign service and other things. So if they are coming to your country and they are trying to get a good course to do, and then they realize that you run, in some instances, unaccredited programs, you destroy your image, and it can have very serious effects.
Okay. So before I take a quick break, I don't know if you have any last.
Should be open to modern times, because I know of some reputable institutions that are running online PhD programs.
But I don't think GTech is against it. They are saying that seek the accreditation.
We moved away from online.
Yes.
Online has
no, but if you look at the reasons assigned for the if you like revocation, one of such is that they are running
yes.
online.
No, but they are saying that the accreditation you took, it's like you've gone to take
so it's just
a driver's license. License then the next moment you see you are driving tipper truck. They say don't drive it. If you want to drive, come for the right license.
I agree, but what I'm saying is that revocation is extremely hard. Maybe an upgrade. They could have called for an upgrade.
That's why I said sometimes some of these only come out when people have taken entrenched positions. You understand that?
I think it's the Vice Chancellor of UCC. Maybe it's a sledgehammer we are using to kill a fly. Anyway, viewers, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we would continue the show.
Dawns. Another season begins. A season of shaping, of polishing, and of becoming. The chosen will be tested, groomed, radiant rise. As the weeks go by, the pressure will rise. Because every task is crafted to mold raw gems into diamonds. This is not a fairy tale. To wear the crown and win the enviable prizes, one must have grace, and of course, your support through votes. One question lingers. Who will win? Miss Malaika Ghana, the Radiant Season. Showing this and every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. GTV.
About the life of Jesus Christ, leadership, life's principles. This program is brought to you by Charles Stanley, founder of In Touch Ministries USA. Watch In Touch on GTV this and every Sunday at 8 a.m.
The 9th Ghana Energy Awards. Nominations are officially open now until October 31st. Under the theme, repositioning the energy sector as a pillar of
Visit www.GhanaEnergyAwards.com.
Proudly endorsed by the Ministry of Energy and Green Transition, media partners, GTV and Radio Ghana. For sponsorship and inquiries, call
030-394-0300.
Ghana Energy Awards, a legacy of redefining excellence.
Meet Kwame. He's not just any Kwame. He's Kwame the TV license legend. Supporting GBC, our public service broadcaster, and he's making a real difference. Kwame's contribution helps bring our communities closer together. Because of Kwame and others like him, we will all have access to amazing TV programs, educational content, plus broadcasting infrastructures are maintained, and our culture is beautifully promoted. So GBC is asking a license fee. For individuals, it's 3 CDs per month or 36 CDs per year. If you have multiple sets, meaning 2 or more in your household, it's 60 CDs per year. For commercial institutions, it's your number of TV sets by 36 CDs per year, and you pay the invoiced amount directly to GBC. So let's all take a moment to appreciate Kwame, the TV license, and follow the prompt. It's your civic duty, so pay your TV license today. GBC, the authentic and trusted voice of Ghana.
Kwame and his uncle are almost here.
Wait a minute. This one too, your friend Kwame.
Wait, Kwame. As in the same Kwame again?
Yes, mommy.
I'm the second coming. Into all this tension just to reintroduce that broke boy from Kaswa.
Why would you deceive the family from Kaswa?
The luckiest, go people to job. Be luckiest, from not the job, she be luckiest. Me and you go be luckiest. No matter why you're lucky, everybody go be that luckiest.
God, Kwame!
Senya God of boom. If you put it,
Star 712 hash. Choose your ticket, enter your lucky number, follow the prompts, and let destiny handle the rest.
This promotion is regulated by the NLA on the Caritas platform.
Welcome back. Proudly sponsored by Bank of Africa. Bank of Africa is strong as a partner, as close as a group. So we are close to going to the World Cup. Very, very close. In fact, this close. That's not want to qualify. What we need right now, in fact, some are even saying we need a draw. But what we do not need is for Ghana to lose 4-0 to Comoros and 3-0. No, we need to lose 4 and then the other team also wins 4. It's head to head. If we are using us and then it builds their goals. So we are our destiny is in our hands. And Sunday tomorrow 7 p.m. at the stadium is going to be a celebration of our qualification. And so let's support, let's all be Ghanaians. I mean, we've all said that the one thing that brings Ghanaians together is football. There's no NDC, we are all together. The has been interesting. I like going there. I've gone there to watch a lot of the Black Star matches and even our local league. We'll talk about that one later. But I would come to my panel. I'm sure we all would have one or two things to say. But the game against the Central African Republic was a good game. For once, the Black Stars were able to trash another country by 5 goals to 0. And for once, the name Otuado has not gotten a lot of bash. Me? Now, Otuado is a celebrated name. As to whether he's the one when you are watching Black Stars, please still sit at the edge of your seat.
Black Stars, I'm still traumatized by Black Stars from 1992.
Oh,
since 1992, I've not been able to we've been to the finals 3 times. Pele was a demigod in terms of football. I mean, you watch Abedi Pele and he was a craftsman. He
didn't put you in football.
I still think that when Roger Miller told the world that they should wait until they see Ghana in 1990, everybody was asking him, wow, African teams can play that well after their exploits in the 91 was the one I really enjoyed. My late mother is a football loving person as well, so she made me. She would have been, if she were alive, would have been sitting behind the TV watching football. She can
I understand we've been joined on phone by the Deputy Director General of the National Sports Authority.
Okay.
So let me get her. No, I think this in Ghana we say Auntie Vero, good morning. Hello, Auntie Vero, can you hear me? Good morning, Auntie Vero. Okay. Right. So yes, me.
I was saying, I had my first traumatic experience with the Black Stars in 1990. The penalties. I mean, it was, and I've never recovered since. And
the 2010 to get another penalty.
No, the 2010 I slept. I slept, woke up, and the penalties were still ongoing. And I went back to sleep. I didn't watch it. We have a love. I think the thing that the Black Stars sometimes don't understand, and the last only get angry at the Black Stars when we see the players not putting in effort. Look, we lost 3-0 to Brazil in 2006.
Yes.
And Ghanaians felt that the Black Stars are putting their all.
We played.
You understand? Yes. So we thought that the referee went, look, the Ghanaian will not have a problem if you lose. When Ghana doesn't mind losing, look, we don't mind playing Brazil. And at the end of the day, Brazil outplayed us. And maybe it was 5-1 or 5-2. But we played our best. What we cannot stand is when we can see our players air to 9, as they say, because they don't want to commit to a tackle. You understand? If you know how to play, you also know how to watch. You understand? Yeah, if you know how to play, you know how to watch. So you cannot discount the Black Stars or the fans of the Black Stars.
Let me try the Auntie Veronica again for the last time. Auntie Veronica, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Forgive me, I know by this time the Sports Authority, you are extreme. How are preparations going?
It's still a pleasure to be on the show. Preparations are going smooth so far. I would say that we have ticked a lot of boxes. Maybe from where I sit, we could almost say that 80%, 85% we are ready. We are ready in terms of security. Earlier in the week, I was on some of the shows on the platform, and I kept saying 100%.
Yeah, 300%.
The last time we had about 400 men on the ground. This time we'll be having 2,000 police personnel on the ground. The plan is that we have been listening to the public. We take feedback quite seriously. We want to avoid some of the issues that made people a little uncomfortable, or that happened that we didn't quite like it in the last year, trying to come in. Some people with tickets were unable to have access. We want to be able to cover all of this. A few access routes will be called off. just to make sure that we don't have a lot of people coming too close to the stadium. We have opened some places where you can buy your tickets, but on the day, the closest you get to buy a ticket from the stadium will be the Independence Square, where we have made it available for people to park. So what it means is that you will not be able to drive your car in the inner perimeter as a safety base. So we will not be seeing a lot of cars at the stadium. And I would like to say that in case you are coming in and for any reason you have a duty to perform and your car must come to the stadium, it must have an access pass. That would be the category A or the category B pass. So generally, I would say that I would also want to announce that for the first few months, we will have a full house. So the excuse is that because we had about 16,000 capacity off because of the structural and safety or engineering issues, we couldn't accommodate a lot of people who have a full house. The capacity of the stadium is about 41,000. Fill the whole stadium, but about 38,000 we should be able to fill so that a lot more people can come in and watch and cheer on the Black Stars. We do understand that this game is more like a celebration. A lot of people say the Black Stars party because 99% we are there at the World Cup, so we know people will come in quite happy. The plan is to make the atmosphere relaxed as possible. I know that in the past, the issue of the NSA's restrooms had really come to the fore. We are trying to make provisions, or we have made provisions for us to have some mobile toilets around the facility so that the pressure that is usually on the normal restrooms we have won't be. Give and take, we are almost there.
Right, give and take, we are almost there. I was there during the last match. I think we played the one we played with Mali. And when I was getting there, I noticed that they had done a roadblock a few meters away from the stadium, that's where they check your ticket. But I noticed that the crowd, so eventually they had to give way for everybody to rush to the gates. Then we got to the gates. I was doing a VVIP, so I was able to enter. But when we entered that portion, there was nobody supposed to sit there. It was empty. Almost halfway into the game, we didn't see what happened. We saw that people were rushing in to fill the place, and then the announcer was telling them that they should be careful because the place was not good enough, so they should be careful and all that. And I kept asking, why are you telling them to be careful if you have allowed them in? I'm hearing you say that we are going to fill capacity, which means we are looking within the regions of, if you are giving a plus or minus 5% tolerance, we are looking around 38,000, 39,000 tickets being sold. Are you assuring the people who want to come tomorrow that we are safe even if the place is filled to capacity?
The safety concerns issues we had, for which reason we did not accommodate a full capacity against Chad and Mali, have been resolved. It's been taken care of. It is for that reason why we are going to open a full gate, or we are going to have a full capacity. So without a doubt, that has been cured. Otherwise, we will not be allowing people in. And taking you back to Mali, where you said halfway through you saw people coming in. It's part of the security breaches I spoke about earlier, because I think that a few people are quite used to the fact that at some point gates will be opened and people have to come in free and all that. And they, at some point, they give the police a lot of trouble. It is one reason why we will have more men coming. He'll be at the stadium himself, but it is because of that reasons, or one of the issues we are trying to cure is that you mentioned that you noticed there were a lot of people on site, and because of the were pushing back. This time, the barricade you saw in the last game will be pushed back a little more so that the protocols can be as smooth as possible. At the last meetings was that we had a lot more men nearly in the stadium than outside. So this time we'll have more security forces, police, soldier collaboration in outside that they can, they can have law and order as much as possible. When you in the stadium, we'll be using stewards, official stewards, to make sure that people are sitting on the seats that they are supposed to do. So we have taken into consideration some of these feedback, the concerns, and what we saw ourselves during these matches, and we are trying to mitigate this workplace that I have enumerated.
Right, Veronica, thank you very much. So aside the football, are we bringing any artists to come and perform for us?
Tomorrow, I know it's
the king of the street.
I know it's become quite a sin recently, but tomorrow we are saying that the reason we are all there tomorrow should be purely football, because the Black Stars have qualified to cheer or be happy. So we are thinking that our Jama, the happy mood, should be enough for the day.
Right. Don't worry, I'll come with my earphones and I'll have my Shatawale in my ears, like my panel members are saying here. What's your prediction?
My prediction is that we'll have a good day. Everybody should be in a good mood. Bring yourself, bring some flags, Ghana flags, and wear your jerseys and all that. And that by the time we leave the prediction is that we are all very happy.
Yes, but what's your scoreline prediction?
I am the worst at this, please. Leave me off the hook.
Right, Veronica Kombi, thank you very much. Veronica is the Deputy Director General of the National Sports Authority. Thank you very much. What's your prediction? I'll come back to you. I just want prediction first, then you finish. You finish. 5-0. 5-0. This is Comoros. They have been a thorn in our flesh for the last 2 times we played with them.
There's a good feel factor about these Black Stars. I kind of have a feeling, for the first time in a long time, this may be the team to take us probably to the semi-finals of the World Cup.
The team, yes, but would this be the coach take us there?
Coach is another issue. Coaching now has evolved, where you have different coaches for different. So I understand we have a set piece coach.
Yes.
And you are seeing the Black Stars score
more
goals from set pieces, especially from the defenders.
Yes.
This guy is scoring even 1 goal per match now.
Jiku?
No, not Jiku, the other one. Salisu. He scores almost 1 goal per match. You understand? And this was not our play. So, and with this 3-team format in the World Cup, we'll certainly go far. What we should be looking at is the AFCON. You understand? I was watching the videos. If Eddie Nketiah and the Hudson guy, we are going for a tour of Japan and South, they should put them in and see whether they would.
I want them to come.
They are sharp.
I want them to come. Music is
10 years. Well, I think that I saw some telepathy in them in the last game that I have not seen in a while. I think that there's some unity now.
Yes.
More than ever before, to be honest. I've seen that, people are not holding on to balls like they used to. I've seen that. I think they've come to some understanding that it could be anybody's goal to score, as opposed to I have to be the one to score. So you are seeing the fluidity and the, free flow of passes and things like that. So that gives me some encouragement and excitement that at the end of the day, the team is going to do well. I think that they are also seeing some camp. Jordan Ayew now, I think, is more. Having said that, my favorite player is not in the team. They are you, but I wish them all the best.
I'm hoping they'll take him if we qualify for the World Cup.
I wish them all the best.
Not to play, but just to be part of the team, because at least to say a bye-bye to us on that bigger scale.
Tomorrow they will win by 3 goals to 0.
So 3 and 5. So we are playing with odd numbers now. 3 and 5. Well, viewers, I don't know what your predictions are, but you can keep them coming in. But we wish the Blacks Stadium. I'm going to, if you don't go early, forget. If you know how it is done in Ghana, forget. So I'll be seated early wearing my Black Star jersey with my name behind, and then I'll tie my Ghana flag on my head, ready for Jama, like Veronica has asked us. I was leading Jama when I was in secondary school, so I'm a Jama. I'm a Jamaican. Right. Nipapo, thank you very much. Nipapo is a lawyer and also a member of the NDC, political strategist and also a lawyer. This has been Current Agenda, your most authoritative news analysis program. Next week we'll be with you here. Continue on the discussions at home. Make the best out of it. And remember, like we said in the beginning, Ghana is not only Accra. Ghana is bigger than where you live. So wherever you find yourself, make yourself a Ghanaian and make the country proud. Enjoy your week.